Hello and thank you for joining us on Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. I'm Najat Tijani. We begin with diplomatic relations. The government of Ghana has responded to a viral social media video threatening protests against Nigerians residing in the country. During a two-day visit, Nigeria's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Bianca Ojukwu, met with Ghana's Foreign Minister, Samuel Ablakwa, to discuss concerns over the safety of Nigerians and their businesses in Ghana. In a joint briefing, Bianca Ojukwu clarified that there is no cause for alarm, noting that since her arrival, the situation has been calm. She emphasized the need for both countries to foster cordial relations. Similarly, Ghana's Foreign Minister Samuel Ablakwa stated that he had engaged with the Nigerian accused of attempting to establish a kingdom in Ghana, clarifying that there was no territorial ambition involved, but expressed concern over the rising crime rate involving Nigerians in Ghana and urging them to strictly adhere to laws and avoid criminal offenses.
Reiterate essentially that Nigeria and Ghana have long been partners.
If these things are not managed well, it could take us back to certain dark occurrences in our history. There is a bigger goal, a bigger Pan-African agenda, where we want to form an all-united states of Africa.
The need to strengthen diplomatic relations and ensure peaceful coexistence between their people. Meanwhile, the presidency has announced the extension of tenure in office of the Comptroller General of the Nigeria Customs Service, Bashir Adewale Adeniyi, which is due to expire on August 31, 2025. In a statement by Special Advisor to the President on Information Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the one-year tenure extension is approved by President Bola Tinubu to enable Mr. Adeniyi consolidate ongoing reforms and complete critical initiatives of this administration, including customs service modernization, implementation of the National Single Window Project, and execution of Nigeria's obligations under the African Continental Free Trade Area Protocol. And on the defense front, the Armed Forces of Nigeria Radio Service has proven through its broadcast service that innovation, when anchored on purpose, can transform public service into a force for national unity. The Minister of Defense, Muhammad Badaru Abubakar, made the remarks at the anniversary lecture in Abuja. Defense correspondent Olajide Bello reports.
Armed Forces Radio, from its inception, was conceived as a very strategic tool for national engagement, a voice of the military, and a trusted source of truth for the civilian population. And what began as a modest initiative has now grown into a beacon of professional military broadcasting, playing a very decisive role in informing the public, strengthening civil-military relations, and countering misinformation in an increasingly complex environment.
Armed Forces Radio has become more than a communications outlet, but a frontline asset It supports operations, it boosts troop morale, as well as enables the armed forces to engage the hearts and minds of Nigerians with authenticity and purpose.
We will continue to innovate, expand our reach and deepen our impact. Our commitment to quality broadcasting, community engagement and listener satisfaction remains unwavering. We will continue to inspire our troops to think of the nation first, just as our listeners will be encouraged to provide information on relevant developments within their localities through appropriate channels.
Under the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, communication is a strategic pillar for transparency, building trust, and enhancing national security, and those will continue to be key drivers for the Armed Forces of Nigeria Radio Service for enhanced professionalism. Olajide Bello, NTA News.
Enhancing civil-military relations there through broadcast services. The federal government is formalizing strategic plans to reduce the number of subjects in primary and junior secondary schools and strengthen curriculum for enhanced learning at basic level of education. This was at the state-level workshop on foundational learning and out-of-school children organized by the Nigeria Governors Forum. Abubakar Akwanga reports.
It has become a now with disturbing consequences to see many children of school-age brackets gallivanting in the streets without formal education, and those already enrolled lacking basic proficiency in compulsory subjects.
Let us move from diagnosing the problem to co-creating solutions that work. Let us walk the talk on our shared commitment.
In 1960, the average GDP per capita in sub-Saharan Africa and South Korea were approximately the same, about $150. Today, South Korea's GDP per capita exceeds $36,000.
Concerned by this sad narrative, the Nigerian Governors Forum is now galvanizing key players in the education sector to marshal out plans in addressing these learning and technical gaps.
They are also critical and essential building blocks for all other education goals and aspirations through retention and acceleration from one level to the other.
We had the commissioners, the SUBEBs, and we sat down to see where are the overlaps, where do we need to work together, and where do we need to complement.
Panelists during a technical session called for national and global action in rewriting history of Nigeria's school systems and defining the future from guesswork to evidence-based solutions. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
And to women in agriculture, women from the 6 area councils in the Federal Capital Territory under the auspices of the National Council for Women's Societies have adopted the First Lady's Every Home a Garden initiative. In a backyard farming campaign, the NCWS and allies train the women in different farming techniques to ensure healthy food and bumper yield. Ngozi Technical reports.
On the agenda of the federal government is to attain full security for the teeming Nigerian population, advocating for more women participation in agriculture by cultivating any little space around their home. Participants were urged to grow what they eat.
It's very important to get women from the grassroots. It is something we saw the president's wife did, and which is very important. A lot of us do it wrongly because we don't get it right. You may just put it not knowing what are the manure you should mix.
Be sure of the kind of food that is being produced in the family because you know your source. You are farming it yourself. You know what you have planted and what you are eating.
The resource person, Sunday Obasi, from the Ministry of Agriculture, tutored the women on the best technique to adopt, including how to produce and use organic manure as against the harmful chemicals sold in the market.
There are a lot of availability of the manure within our community that will take to make sure that our backyard farming grow well.
I'm going to step down. That is what we were told. I'm going to step down to all other members so that they themselves can go and learn what we have learned and go and practice it.
Knowledge, they say, is power. And from the foregoing, the women are eager to implement the knowledge and reap the accrued benefits. Ngozi Technical, NTA News.
Now, to other matters, the federal government has signed a memorandum of understanding with the National Association of Academic Technologists, NAT, to avert an industrial action. A statement by the ministry spokesperson, Patience Onobia, says the agreement was reached at a meeting in Abuja convened by the Minister of Labour and Employment, Mohammed Megarid Ngyai, following the expiration of a 21-day ultimatum earlier issued on issues of welfare. A technical committee comprising the two sides has been set up to address the outstanding issues within 2 weeks and for the Ministries of Labour and Education to expedite action concerning pending matters. To legal matters, a Kwara State High Court in Ilorin has convicted and sentenced one Abdurrahman Bello to death by hanging over the gruesome murder of Hafsa Lawal in February this year. The 4 co-defendants in the case have been acquitted of criminal conspiracy. Aisha Abubakar Yahaya has the details.
A long-awaited date eventually came, and the courtroom was filled to the brim, with the people anxiously waiting for the final court pronouncement on the case. Justice Hannah Ajayi, while delivering the over 2 hours judgment, reviewed all facts of the case and concluded that the prosecution failed to establish the case of rape against Abdurrahman. However, he was found guilty of unlawful possession of human parts and blood, as well as culpable homicide. The court held that the prime suspect gruesomely killed Hafsa and dismembered her body for spiritual money ritual, as confirmed by his extrajudicial statement and other evidences tendered by the prosecutor. Justice Hannah consequently sentenced Abdurrahman to death by hanging, among other pronouncements.
The court was satisfied with overwhelming evidence for the commission of homicide, and Abdurrahman was convicted, and the court pronounced his sentence to be hanged till death.
The 4 others have been discharged. Mere looking at their charges and all the exhibits filed along with it, we knew that they were not liable.
Thanks Almighty Allah for giving us the victory, justice, as we are expecting it.
Abdurrahman Bello was arrested on the 14th of February over the disappearance of Hafsa Lawal, whose dismembered body parts were later found in his house around Olunlade area of Ilorin. Aisha Abubakar Yahaya, NTA News.
It's time to join Adiola in our Lagos Network Center. Adiola, what's happening?
Najatu, welcome to Lagos. To foster effective collaboration between the legal community and the regulatory ecosystem driving Nigeria's digital future, the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) has organized a 2-day workshop for Attorneys General. Diana Ajala reports that the discourse also captured streamlining of taxation in the communication sector and the review of the Communication Act of 2003.
Now, I think we have a general... The communication sector remains a vital enabler of innovation, commerce, governance and inclusion.
As Nigeria accelerates its digital transformation underpinned by technologies such as AI, IoT, and high-speed connectivity, the challenges will grow more complex, but so too will the opportunities. To succeed, we must adopt a whole-of-government approach that leverages the strengths of all institutions, federal and states.
Declared open by the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, SEN, he described digital transformation as a panacea for improvement in socio-economic development of the nation.
Number one thing is macro aspect before the micro, and it is important that we have people who will discuss, people who are knowledgeable, people who will be called upon to drive the various provisions of these laws or acts to come together and see how to advance the cause further in this regard to ensure that Nigerians of all categories are kept informed.
Harmonizing tax elements, regulatory overlap, and protection of critical national information infrastructure were some of the topical issues treated at the workshop.
Based on the mandate given to us by Mr. President, that the priority for these reforms are: number one, people-centric; number two, growth focus. How can you stimulate growth? And then, how can we gain efficiency?
Building and driving synergy in regulating communications for the digital transformation of Nigeria is the theme of the workshop. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
Social and economic inclusion in women's self-discovery goals will help in achieving their developmental aspirations. Wives of police officers are incorporating this in their economic empowerment and leadership training to enhance productivity of women. Joel Popola reports.
The 2025 convention of Police Officers' Wives Association with the theme Unlocking Power's Potential and Transformational Leadership is geared towards maximizing their skills for the improvement of their families' well-being. Just as over 3,000 women, physically challenged persons, people displaced by flooding and other natural disasters received support from POA. The association's national president, Elizabeth Egbetokun, says POA is taking a step further by awakening the can-do spirit of members.
Nothing should hold them back. They should come out. There is so much gift that God has put in us. So when you come, at times if you don't try it, you may not know.
The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, represented, and the Lagos State government described the role of police wives as crucial to national security through their moral support at home.
POA stands not only as a welfare body, but as a transformative social force that amplifies the voice of police families, fosters community development, and advances the cause of women in security-linked spaces.
And we want us to change the narrative that we can do better. Women should be found in places of policy making, decision making.
You have uplifted many lives and inspired hope within and beyond our police barracks, empowering more than 1,000 women right here in Lagos.
Women are the bedrock of national development, but many of them are oblivious of the power they possess. Over the next couple of days, the Police Women Association will be using the 2025 convention to change this unwanted narrative through various capacity building initiatives. It is expected that the participants will discover their strengths and fully maximize their potential for the benefits of the society. In Lagos, Joel Okbola, NTA News.
And those are the reports from Lagos. There will be more news after this time out. Please stay with us.
In heart of Owerri, business never sleeps. From sunrise to sundown, the wheels keep turning. And behind the scenes, vision meets action. Governor Hope Uzodimma's leadership has turned manifestos into reality, transformations that feels like a miracle. But progress needs peace, and in Imo, it's not left to chance. From land to sky to river deep, guardians are watching, protecting dreams and opportunity. At Orashi's quiet shore, hydropower is rising, set to energize a growing economy. The change is visible. New roads emerge, industry hums, communities come alive. At the center, a digital revolution. 500,000 young minds trained each year to build the future. As Orashi rises, so does Imo and the hopes of a hard-working people. A new Imo is on the rise.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we sway in colors, with undying demand. We bet solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Education is unique.
For you be
vehicles, clean energy for brighter future. This message is brought to you by the Office of the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, supported by the Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA.
For rejoining us, this is Maiduguri. Stronger anti-trafficking laws, stricter enforcement mechanisms, and the implementation of comprehensive action plans focusing on prevention, protection, and prosecution have been identified as key strategies in the fight against human trafficking. This was the central message at the commemoration of World Day Against Trafficking in Persons, organized in Borno State by the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, in collaboration with development partners. Abubakar Musa reports.
With the theme, Trafficking is Organized Crime and Exploitation, the event brought together stakeholders from government and non-governmental organizations focusing on ending exploitation and human trafficking, a menace that poses threat to the lives of vulnerable individuals, particularly women and girls. Representative of the Zonal Commander of NAPTIP, Dauda Joseph, emphasized the importance of unity in dismantling the issue of trafficking and exploitation and expressed gratitude to Borno State government and partners, especially UNHCR, who has been instrumental in guiding their efforts and enhanced their collective response to the challenges posed by human trafficking.
The challenge we have is because we cannot be able to cover everywhere. That is the challenge. That is the most challenge that we have, because we cannot be able to cover everywhere. And that is why whereby we involve our sisters agency.
Stakeholders spoke extensively on the need to protect those vulnerable to trafficking and stressed the importance of training police and border control personnel to recognize and respond to trafficking cases. They reaffirmed their commitment to preventing exploitation, noting that it aligns with global efforts to combat human trafficking. In Maiduguri, Abubakar Musa, NTA News.
In a continued effort to promote inclusive education, Borno State government has fully settled the examination fees for students in public secondary schools who sat for the 2025 Senior School Certificate Examination, SSCE, and the National Business and Technical Examinations, NAPTIP. Pauline Kujafana has details.
Commissioner for Education, Science, Technology and Innovation, Lawan Abawa Kilby, presented the check to the examination bodies and reaffirmed government's commitment to also sponsor students preparing for the Senior Islamic Studies examination under the National Board for Arabic and Islamic Studies in higher Islamic colleges. For the 2025 SLCE, organized by the National Examination Council, NECO, the state government is paying over 639.7 million naira to cover the fee of 26,153 students in public schools, while additional over 5.3 million naira has been earmarked to cover the examination fee of 355 candidates writing NAPTEP. In total, the government has committed over 1.1 billion naira this year alone to fund the West African Senior School Certificate Examination, SLCE and NAPTEP for public school students across the state.
Let me also extend our appreciation to our respective local government chairmen who have shouldered logistic support for the examiners and movement of question papers, our respective education secretaries who have served as catalysts, our principals of rural secondary schools, and all education stakeholders in our rural schools for their cooperation in the smooth conduct of examination this year.
Commissioner Wakilbe noted that with this latest intervention, Borno State total investment in external examination support since 2019 has risen to 4.7 billion naira, directly benefiting over 165,000 students. Officials from the examination bodies commended Borno State government for its consistency in supporting final year students. In Maiduguri, Pauline Kujevana, NTA News.
These are the trending stories from the Home of Peace. For now, Nationwide continues with Neja Atu in Abuja. Neja Atu is back to you.
Thank you, Ladidi. And still on events in Maiduguri, heavy downpour lasting nearly 4 hours on Tuesday has left large parts of Maiduguri and surrounding areas submerged, posing a serious threat to lives and property. Umar Chimbarima who visited some affected areas, reports.
The rainfall, which residents described as one of the heaviest in recent time, flooded neighborhoods including Polu, Damboa Road, Millionaire Quarters, Gomari, Bulunkutu, Abuja Sheraton, Shuari, Bakassi, 1000 Housing Estate, 777, and parts of Old GRA. Residents are still reeling from the impact as many homes remained waterlogged, attributing it to inadequate drainage infrastructure. The people are appealing to relevant authorities to step up interventions and find lasting solutions to the recurring flooding.
We need government to come our aid to come and put drainage.
Experts linked the increased frequency and intensity of floods in Maiduguri to climate change, which they say has triggered more unpredictable and extreme weather patterns amidst rapid urbanization and population growth, leading to unregulated development, pushing low-income families into flood-prone zones. Security operatives, along with officials from the National Emergency Management Agency NEMA and the State Emergency Management Agency SEMA, have been actively involved in rescue operations and providing emergency support to affected households.
We have the police which are deployed on strategic locations to ensure that whenever these properties are left at home, they should feel safe that the police are there to guide over them.
Residents living along riverbanks and floodplains have been advised to relocate to safer grounds while the government continues its efforts. Residents are also urged to support these initiatives, avoiding indiscriminate dumping of waste and cooperating with emergency response guidelines. In Maiduguri, Omar Jimbarima, NTA News.
Updates on that report. Now to election matters. The Independent National Electoral Commission in Kebbi State says all is set for the commencement of online continuous registration of eligible voters slated for 18th of August 2025. Correspondent Usman Abdullahi Shehu reports that the resident electoral commissioner in the state, Abubakar Sarkimpawa Dambo, opened up on the exercise while briefing newsmen on the level of preparedness of the election umpire.
The stipulated law, the Independent National Electoral Commission is commencing online continuous pre-registration of eligible voters on the 18th of August 2025, while that of in-person on the 25th of August 2025 at the local government offices of the Commission. The Kebbi State Resident Electoral Commissioner Abubakar Sarkimpawa Dambo stated that Nigerians who have turned 18 are now eligible voters and can either do online registration or present themselves at the local government offices for the in-person registration.
Nigerians who have lost their voter cards, misplaced cards, those whose cards were mutilated, those who changed their addresses or residences can also present themselves for the physical registration, as well as those whose voter cards are defaced and those who wish to correct their names.
He explained that the registration exercise is to be conducted from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. daily, except for the weekends. The REC equally disclosed that in the 2023 permanent voter card registration exercise, 2,032,041 eligible voters registered in Kebbi State with 97% collection. He warned that the Commission will not condone illegalities like multiple registration, registration by proxy, and underage registration. In Burning Kebbi, Usman Abdullahi Shehu, NTA.
The reserved seat for women bill is a proposed amendment to the Nigerian constitution seeking to create additional legislative seats specifically for women in the national and state assemblies. Susan Eze reports that while proponents of the bill argue for its passage, they also challenge the women folk to stand up against other hindrances to their full participation in politics.
Reserved seat for women, also known as the Specific Seats Bill, has gained support from various stakeholders who advance the benefits to include giving a voice to the women by addressing the historical underrepresentation of women in Nigerian politics.
This is a bill for development, and we are looking at 3 seats per state. And if that is possible, you will find that women will be at the community level helping to develop.
also raising concerns about other issues militating against women participation in politics, such as socio-cultural beliefs, among others. They urged women to also stand up against these hindrances in order to amplify their voice and contribute to policy making.
So many things that happen during politics, and they don't expect women to be actively involved in all these things. But why we encourage the bill and expect that it will encourage women, it's also very important to lay emphasis that these women themselves should show that they are interested and they want what is being given to them.
The reserved seat for women bill proposes one specific seat for women in the Senate and 2 for the House of Representatives for each state, as well as 3 specific seats for women at the state assemblies. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
Susan Eze joins us live from Enugu to tell us the pulse of the people in the state on this proposed women in governance bill. Now, Susan, your report highlights that women should also show that they are interested. What are Enugu residents saying about this? Seems we've lost Susan there. Susan, we'll probably get back to her. And still on gender matters, gender-based violence, the women journalists' perspective is at the heart of the South-South Conference of the Nigeria Association of Women Journalists held in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. And our reporter says the conference wants women journalists to break the silence of gender-based violence using the media. That report will come in our subsequent bulletin. Meanwhile, Nigeria's National Space Research and Development Agency, NASDA, is participating in NASA's Crew 11 mission set to launch from the Kennedy Space Center, Cape Canaveral, Florida. The mission will carry the World Seeds payload, a groundbreaking agricultural experiment led by Jaguar Space with contributions from 11 countries, including Nigeria. Nigeria's contribution includes 6 indigenous crop seeds: okra, cowpea, guinea corn, amaranth, maize and melon, chosen for their nutritional and agricultural value. These seeds will be studied aboard the International Space Station, ISS, to examine their behavior in microgravity and advance research on climate resilience, food security, and future space farming. Following a formal memorandum of understanding between the agency and Jaguar Space, the seeds will be have been delivered to the United States, marking the agency's first biological payload aboard a crewed NASA mission. This milestone highlights the agency's commitment to space-driven solutions for sustainable development and underscores the role of emerging space nations like Nigeria in shaping global scientific progress. It's now time to join our Port Harcourt Network Center for more reports.
Welcome to Port Harcourt. Rivers State Administrative Vice Admiral Imokaita Ibas says a strategic community-driven approach to socio-economic development in Nigeria is imperative. This was during a visit by Border Communities Development Agency, led by Executive Secretary Alabo George Kelly Dakurinama at Government House, Port Harcourt. Correspondent Osinachi Samuel has the details.
Vice Admiral Ibas pointed out that the current practice of introducing projects without adequate consultation with the people is unsuitable, but sustainability and meaningful impact would be made when communities make input on projects they need. The administrator sued for greater synergy among development agencies and donor organizations, advocating for inclusion of neglected communities beyond Nigeria's immediate border regions to ensure that no area is left behind in national development plans.
I feel we should look inward and see what we have, even with the communities that are not sharing borders, that are not that far from the state capitals. And I believe this country is so well endowed and rich to be able to bring even development to everybody.
Leader of the team, Alabo George Kelly, explained that the projects were selected following a nationwide needs assessment targeting both land and marine border communities. He identified key intervention areas, particularly in underserved regions disconnected from the national grid.
We will be embarking on 69 projects in Rivers State alone this year, and particularly for border communities. And then next year we'll do more than we are doing this year.
A total of 69 projects have been marked for Rivers State in 2025. In Port Harcourt, Osinachi Samuel, NTA News.
National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, that are campaigned with other stakeholders, is calling for accurate information sharing among agencies and citizens to help end human trafficking in Nigeria. Recently, Amajiri was at an enlightenment walk held in Port Harcourt, and now reports.
The campaign to eliminate human trafficking, referred to as modern slavery, affects millions worldwide through forced labor, sexual exploitation, and organ trafficking. Here in Rivers State, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons is leading this campaign in Port Harcourt on this year's commemoration of Global Campaign and Awareness Day set aside by the United Nations General Assembly to highlight the plight of human trafficking victims in conjunction with International Federation of Women Lawyers, FIDA, security agencies, and other critical stakeholders.
This holiday, all your children well because things they happen. Now people they put disguise, say they be health workers, say they won't come count for immunization. Before you know they don't see people for compound.
From Air Force Junction to Yakubu Gowon Stadium, the call to end this global modern-day slavery is loud, drawing from the 2025 theme of human trafficking, its organized crime, and the exploitation.
You witness a situation whereby an individual has been trafficked, maybe from the village or even from another country to your neighborhood. You report such actions to the relevant agencies so they can take action.
If you feel your right is being violated, come. We can handle it. And of course, by extension, if it's a matter to be prosecuted, we prosecute.
We say no. Please, if you see something, say something and do something.
Notwithstanding the actions and enforcement by the partners, the crime appears to be on the increase in Port Harcourt. Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
And that's the size of our bulletin from here. It's now back to Nigerian in Abuja.
Have you heard the news? The federal government of Nigeria, through its direct benefit transfer program...
The coat of arms on the flag. Our national heroes are not buried with the flag. They are honored by presenting it to their next of kin during internment. Respect our national flag. Be a real Nigerian.
This message was brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
We'll now join our Jos Network Center where Mary is standing by. Mary.
And welcome to Jos. We begin with electoral matters where the newly appointed INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner, Plateau State, Mohammed Abubakar Sadiq, says there is need to partner the Plateau State Independent Electoral Commission, PLASEC, to strengthen institutional collaboration as the Commission prepares for the resumption of continuous voter registration in August 2025. It was at a meeting with management of PLASEC in Jos. Priscilla Gumnan reports.
While addressing officials of PLASEC, the new REC emphasized the importance of synergy between INEC and its sister agency in deepening democratic values at the state and national levels. He says continuous voter registration, CVR, is scheduled for August and tasked PLASEC to support INEC by mobilizing and sensitizing citizens across local communities to participate actively in the exercise.
We are resuming the continuous voter registration on the 18th of August. And a platform would be provided where prospective registrants that have qualified, that have met the requirements, can assess and register.
Chairman of PLASEC commended INEC's proactive approach, pledging the Commission's support in driving public awareness towards a successful exercise.
We've discussed areas of collaboration, but for the moment, our concentration will be on the CVR, continuous voter registration. We will also have the opportunity to enjoy other relationship with the INEC.
The meeting ended with a renewed commitment from both commissions to work collectively towards credible elections. In Jos, Priscilla Grumnan, NTA News.
The Fact-Finding Committee on Plateau Crisis is reaffirming its commitment to providing credible and practical recommendations to the state government, which will help to resolve the underlying causes of insecurity and fostering lasting peace across the state. Major General Nicholas Roja stated this while addressing journalists at the end of the committee's statewide tour across the 17 local government areas of the state. Ndayang and Yebagyang has details.
Rounding off the exercise, the Fact-Finding Committee visited Lantan North, Wase, Kanam, Kanke, and Pangshin local government areas where it interfaced with traditional rulers, security agencies, community leaders, youth, women groups, and stakeholders on issues affecting their areas. In Lantan North, issue of armed robbery and isolated communal incidences were raised, and the people called for enhanced community policing and youth engagement in the community. For Wase, recurring land disputes and cases of kidnapping dominated the discussions, while in Kanam, issue of land grabbing and disputes over farmlands came to fore. In Kanke and Pangshin, communal clashes, traditional leadership disputes, and boundary disagreements, as well as court-related activities among youth, were the challenges in the communities. Stakeholders were unanimous in their views that the government should improve surveillance and intervene promptly, implement land management policies, value reorientation, and youth empowerment programs, as well as stronger collaboration with security agencies.
Very much happy with their coming. That has given us space to be able to say what we know, raw, to them, not what they see on papers.
We've actually done a lot of fact-finding, which will actually help the state government to take certain decisions that will be able to cope with incessant attacks and killings.
Ndanyan and the Abuja, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Just Nationwide continues with Naja'atu in Abuja.
Very much, Mary, and welcome back to our Abuja studios. We'll now rejoin Susan Eze in Enugu for her report on the pulse of the people concerning the proposed reserve seat for women bill. Susan, what are the people saying?
Thank you, Najatu. Yes, in Enugu, the people are happy and excited about that bill. It was evident during the just concluded public hearing on the Constitution Amendment that took the center stage. And going by the comments of the stakeholders who spoke on it, the people are actually looking forward. They are particularly hopeful that it will be passed because in Enugu, the State House of Assembly is affected. I am right now at the State House of Assembly complex, and within the chambers here, we have 24 legislators. And out of this number, only 2 are women. The other 22 are men. So the people would want to see a change. They would want to see a situation where more women are involved in decision-making in the state legislature. But while the proponents of this bill ask this, they also enjoin the women to work on other things that hinder them from participating in governance. If this is done, well,
that is the situation in Enugu. The people are really anxious to see the bill passed.
Susan, thank you. But just before we go, one more thing. What are the people saying about what is hindering women, and how can this be ameliorated? You did highlight this in your report.
Okay, exactly. That's the point they are raising. That some of these issues that affect women, such as patriarchal norms, culture, where they advise that women should stand up to the people, to make them understand that women have the capacity to also decide. Also on the issue of high registration fees, they advocate that political parties should reduce the amount they collect for people to register so that women can also participate. And also the issue of political violence will also be looked into. These are some of the solutions they profile, that if these are taken care of, women will be bold enough to come out.
Well, we seem to have lost Susan. Again, I wish she could have gone on, because that is a subject matter that is quite dear to the NTA and Nigerians in general. Thank you, Susan, for giving us the pulse of the people in Enugu concerning the proposed reserve seat for women bill. And now Nigeria is a beautiful country, attracting nationals from across the world who regularly come to enjoy the people and culture. The Nigerian nationality is highly regarded among nations of the world, prompting calls for the deregulation of obtaining Nigerian citizenship. But is it really difficult for a foreigner with Nigerian roots to obtain this citizenship under Nigerian law? Olabode Arewa finds out.
A leisure trip back to the homeland by a diasporan who identifies with his original roots, Nigeria. His affinity for Nigeria is no doubt shared by many others who own foreign passports and who desire that their children obtain the green passport of Nigeria. However, this enthusiasm is not shared by other aspirants, as a British politician of Nigerian origin, Kemi Badenoch, was recently reported to have expressed her children's difficulty in obtaining Nigerian citizenship. But this view is debunked by many legal experts in Nigeria, as they believe that sections of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, provide clear and easy guidelines for dual citizenship and naturalization by a foreign citizen.
There is no discrimination whatsoever. There is nothing, no disability against them acquiring their father's citizenship by virtue of the provisions of Section 25 of our Constitution.
On the other hand, experts want Section 26, subsection 2 of the Constitution to be re-examined, as they claim that it makes it cumbersome for Nigerian women to confer the citizenship on their foreign spouses.
The children acquiring Nigerian passport is not dependent on our own choice. It's dependent on the choice of the individual child when the children are of adult age.
Records abound of many foreign individuals who have adopted Nigeria as home with patriotism and love. Experts believe that this should be the propelling factor to make one switch nationality, and individuals, such as those who are moving out of the country, should always savor the good memories of the homeland they left behind. In Abuja, Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
Thank you, Olabode. Up next is Sports Update.
Super Eagles forward Victor Osimhen is on the verge of a historic move, officially becoming the most expensive signing in Turkish football history. The Napoli star arrived in Istanbul on Wednesday night alongside his family, agent George Gadi, and Galatasaray Vice President Abdullah Kawichku ahead of his medical on Thursday morning. Osimhen's move surpasses the €25 million previously paid by Besiktas for Kochku, marking a new chapter in his career. He will be presented alongside Leroy Sané this Saturday before Galatasaray's friendly against Lazio at Alim Sami Yems Rams Park. Meanwhile, as the Tigress continues their quest for history at the 2025 FIBA Women's Afrobasket as they gear up for a high-stake quarter-final clash against regional rivals Cameroon on Thursday night. Tip-off is set for 10 p.m. at the Palace des Sports de Tricheville in Abidjan, Ivory Coast. Basketball enthusiasts in Abuja say the team must remain focused and disciplined to keep their dream alive.
I think Cameroon will be a stumbling block, considering the fact that the last time we lost to them was in the semi-finals of the same tournament as well, and now they impose themselves in front of us. But I think challenges are what the ladies are up to. If we saw them in the last Olympics and how they came up against the well-established United States side, I do think that they've got what it takes to actually surmount whatever obstacles the Cameroonians will be bringing to them today.
In athletics, World 100-meter hurdles record holder Toby Amusa will switch things up by running the 100 meters flat at the National Open Athletics Championship holding from August 1 to 3rd at the Yabatech Sports Complex in Lagos. The event will serve as trials for major competitions including CAA Region 2 Championship in Ghana and the World Athletics Championship in Tokyo. Other top stars expected include Ese Brume, Tima Godbless, and several foreign-based athletes, with arrivals slated for July 31 and departures on August 4. Stefanos Tsitsipas has reappointed his fathers, Apostolos Tsitsipas, as his coach, following a short-lived partnership with the former Wimbledon champion Goran Ivanisevic. Their split comes just weeks after Ivanisevic criticized Tsitsipas' preparation following a disappointing first-round exit at Wimbledon, saying, "I have never seen such an unprepared player in my life." For Sports Update, Bright Ebochu, NTA News.
Sports Update concludes nationwide on the network service of NTA. Thanks for being a part of it. I'm Najat Atutujani.